Wow, stories.
Am I the idiot for feeling excluded by my fiancé's family, who speak only their native language? At gatherings, context. I am from an English-speaking country, and my fiancé is Scandinavian. I speak only English. Fiancé and his family speak English fluently as a second language. Fiancé and I dated for 5 years and recently became engaged. I learned his language for about 2 years through a mix of Duolingo and in-person classes. I can comprehend a basic conversation, but I find it very difficult to articulate myself when speaking. I stopped actively learning the language when my fiancé moved to my country over 3 years ago, where we now live together and speak English 100% of the time. An ongoing issue has been that whenever we visit my fiancé's family in their country, they all speak in their language together despite their ability to fluently speak English. This means I am often left out of conversations, as I quickly lose the flow and end up not contributing. It is completely understandable that they speak in their native language, but we have friends and other family in the country that will switch between the two, or speak just in English if I'm there. I have spoken to my fiancé about this many times, and suggested that I say when I don't understand, but he says that it would be weird to ask his family to speak in English. So, out of politeness, I have never outright asked for them to switch to English. My fiancé has also said that if the conversation doesn't involve something that happened to me, then it doesn't need to be in English. Long story short, whenever I see my fiancé's family, all they hear from me are single-sentence answers in their language, or I speak in English when I have understood more of the topic, to the main issue. On our most recent visit to his family, my future father-in-law, Phil, male, 59, angrily told me, in English, that he feels he doesn't know me, and that he wants to protect his son from me because I never speak and seem distracted. He made me look him in the eye and tell him I loved his son. This all happened with my fiancé present. I explained that the reason I'm so quiet is because I'm trying to follow along, and I'm constantly having to translate in my head. I cannot contribute as much as I would like to, because the conversation moves so quickly, and it is difficult for me to keep track. Father-in-law said that because I had taken language classes, I could understand what's being said, and that I should contribute more. I explained that I can't understand enough of the conversation to be able to contribute, although I admitted I could have pointed out if I had lost track. Father-in-law would not listen, and kept repeating that he doesn't know me, and that he wants to protect his son. I am upset and confused that father-in-law has never brought this up before now, and I am torn as to whether I should have tried harder to learn my fiancé's language. I am unsure what to do going forward. Would it be fair of me to ask his family to speak English, at least some of the time, so that I can contribute fully? Edit to add. My fiancé did stand up for me during the outburst with his father, and told him to shut the frick up and listen to me, that I can't understand Danish fully. So how should I be able to contribute, etc.? I have had my fiancé's support over the years, and he has tried to initiate conversations in English, but his family's insistence on responding in Danish has made it difficult. My fiancé has been guilty of just replying in Danish and letting the conversation go on in Danish. But now that we've spoken about that, we have agreed to both push harder for the conversations to be initiated in English, and for my fiancé to speak a lot less Danish back to get the point across more. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your fiancé is failing you badly. He thinks it would be weirder to ask his family to speak a shared language than for you to constantly feel awkward and left out. Why did he not stand up for you when his father was accusing you of not loving him? Why do your feelings and ability to connect with his family mean so little to him? His dad humiliated you and he did what exactly? This isn't a language issue, it's a respect issue. Someone who respects you would either express the need for a language you understand to be spoken or translate for you, and they would certainly not allow their family to blatantly disrespect you right in front of them. All of these people sound rude as hell. Who speaks a language they know someone present doesn't speak, and then blames them for not speaking? You would be entirely fair to ask them to speak English, but the bigger problem is that your fiancé should have been doing that all along, and would rather you be excluded than do so. Do with that what you will. Comment 2. Wow. As someone who lived in another country for the majority of my 20s, I cannot tell you how often I had to explain to family and friends back home that living there would not magically make me fluent. Learning new languages is hard. Some people have more of a knack for it than others, and it's incredibly ignorant and insensitive of your father-in-law to attack you like this, and publicly no less. I have to ask, what the heck did your fiancé do? Did he not defend you at all? I would be livid if I had married someone from where I was living, and my parents said something like this to them. It's so embarrassingly ignorant and rude. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the update. So, things have been tense since the last time I talked about the language barrier with my fiancé's family. We thought we had a plan, but it's like everything just blew up in our faces. My fiancé and I agreed he'd speak less Danish, and we'd both push for more English to help me out. But it's like his family didn't get the memo, or they just didn't care. We went to his sister's birthday party, and it was like I was invisible. Everyone was chatting in Danish, laughing and having a good time, and there I was just nodding and smiling like a fool. I tried to jump in with my broken Danish, but it was like talking to a wall. My fiancé did try to switch to English a few times, but it just didn't stick. Then the bomb dropped. My fiancé's cousin, who's always been kind of competitive with him, announced he's getting married too. And guess what? His fiancée is Danish. Suddenly it was like I was the odd one out, even more than before. They were all excited, asking her all sorts of questions, and I just sat there feeling like a stranger. I was already feeling low, but then my fiancé's mom pulled me aside. She said she was worried about me not fitting in, and that maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. That stung. I've been trying, but it's like they expect me to be fluent overnight. The worst part? My fiancé overheard and got into a huge fight with his mom. He told her she was being unfair and that they were all making it harder for me. It was a mess. Everyone was upset, and the party pretty much ended right there. After that disaster, we had a serious talk. My fiancé said maybe we should move the wedding date, give me more time to learn Danish. But that felt like giving up, like admitting I wasn't good enough. We decided to stick to the plan, but I could tell he was worried. We tried to make things right, invited his family over for dinner, just us. I even cooked some traditional Danish dishes to show I was trying to embrace their culture. It started off okay, but then his uncle made a joke in Danish, and everyone laughed except me. I asked what was funny, and there was this awkward silence before someone finally explained it in English. It was like they suddenly remembered I was there. The tension was thick. You could cut it with a knife. My fiancé was translating back and forth, but it was exhausting for him, and I could see he was getting frustrated. It was supposed to be a nice evening, but it felt like we were all just pretending. Then, out of nowhere, my fiancé's brother said something that made my blood boil. He suggested that maybe if I couldn't learn Danish, I wasn't the right match for their family. That was it for me. I lost it. I told them how hard I've been trying, how isolated I felt, and that I loved their son and brother, and that should be enough. It was like a dam broke. Everyone started talking at once, in English and Danish, and it was chaos. My fiancé was trying to calm everyone down, but it was no use. His brother stormed out, and the rest of the family followed soon after. Now, we're left picking up the pieces. My fiancé and I are solid, but it's like there's this huge rift between me and his family. I'm not sure how we'll fix it, if we even can.